You don't realize it yet, but the most dangerous machine in your home is the one you trust every single day. A glowing white box humming quietly in the corner of your kitchen. It preserves your food, protects your leftovers, and makes you believe everything inside is safe. But the refrigerator, one of the most ordinary appliances in modern life, carries a history far darker than you were ever told. A story of toxic gases, government panic, industrial accidents, buried research, and environmental consequences that reached the edge of the planet itself. This is the hidden story of cold, the story of a machine that reshaped civilization and nearly damaged it beyond repair. Long before refrigerators existed, cold wasn't something you controlled. It was something you hoped for. In the 1800s, entire economies depended on the ice trade. In winter, men carved massive blocks from frozen lakes using saws, horses, and brute strength. Those blocks were shipped on insulated vessels to places as far as India, Brazil, and the Caribbean. By the late 19th century, ice was one of America's biggest exports. People stored it in giant wooden ice houses. Families used ice boxes, simple wooden chests that slowed down spoilage but couldn't truly prevent it. Food poisoning was common. Milk lasted only hours in summer. Meat spoiled quickly. Children regularly died from contaminated food. The world desperately needed safe, reliable cold, even if people didn't yet know it. Then came Jacob Perkins, a brilliant, stubborn inventor who believed cold shouldn't depend on climate. He built the first practical vapor compression refrigeration system. The principle was elegant. Compress a gas, let it expand, and harvest the cold created by that expansion. It was the foundation of modern cooling. But early machines frightened people. They hissed, they leaked, and the gases used, like ether and ammonia, were toxic or highly flammable. Governments were unsure. Insurance companies refused coverage. Newspapers exaggerated the danger. Mechanically produced cold was seen as unnatural, even threatening. Perkins's idea was decades ahead of society. It vanished quietly, like frost melting in the morning sun. But the idea of artificial cold refused to die, and as cities grew, food spoilage became a national problem. Before refrigeration, meatpacking plants dumped tons of spoiled product every year. Milk soured within hours. Epidemics linked to food contamination were common. Industries began installing large refrigeration units. Breweries adopted them first. They needed consistent temperatures for fermentation. Then came shipping companies. Artificial cold allowed meat to travel across oceans. Finally, cold became industrialized, powering entire supply chains. And once industry embraced refrigeration, it was only a matter of time before companies tried to bring it into the home. The first home refrigerators appeared in the early 1900s. They were expensive, noisy, and often unreliable, but the pitch was irresistible. Safe food, longer storage, a cleaner, modern home. Behind the marketing, however, was a deadly truth. Early refrigerators used chemicals like methyl chloride, ammonia, and sulfur dioxide. These gases worked well, but they were toxic. Even a small leak could cause blindness, lung damage, or death, and leaks did happen. In 1929, a single mass leak of methyl chloride in a Chicago apartment building killed multiple residents. Across the U.S., dozens of incidents quietly occurred. Manufacturers paid settlements under confidentiality agreements to avoid destroying public trust. Families began to fear the very machines marketed as protectors of food. Refrigeration, a technology that promised safety, was creating danger in people's homes. Manufacturers were desperate for a non-toxic refrigerant, and in 1930, a breakthrough seemed to arrive. General Motors and DuPont introduced chlorofluorocarbons, chemicals soon marketed under the name Freon, non-flammable, odorless, stable, safe for humans, and perfect for mass manufacturing. The refrigerator industry exploded. By the 1950s, nearly every American household owned one. Cold had become ordinary, something people took for granted. But Freon carried a hidden flaw no one yet understood. When released into the atmosphere, it didn't break down. It traveled upward, slowly, silently, until it reached the stratosphere. There, ultraviolet radiation split the molecules, releasing chlorine atoms that destroyed ozone, Earth's protective shield against harmful UV light. In the early 1970s, atmospheric scientists noticed the ozone layer thinning. Chemical companies were skeptical. Some accused researchers of fear-mongering. Billions of dollars were tied to Freon production. But by 1985, a massive seasonal ozone hole was discovered over Antarctica. Satellite images were undeniable. This wasn't a theory anymore. It was happening. International negotiations began. In 1987, the Montreal Protocol was signed, the most successful environmental treaty in history. Nations agreed to phase out ozone-destroying chemicals, including Freon. Millions of refrigerators were retrofitted, redesigned, or scrapped. The world avoided a potential environmental catastrophe, one that would have increased cancer rates, damaged crops, and altered ecosystems. And it all began with the gas inside a refrigerator. Despite modern safety improvements, today's refrigerators still rely on precise engineering. Inside, everyone is a compressor, the heart of the system, and a start relay, a small but critical device that triggers the compressor. If that relay fails, the compressor overheats. Coolant circulation stops. Pressure can spike. Most failures are harmless, but not all. In rare cases, worn relays or faulty wiring have caused electrical fires. This is why appliance standards today are stricter than ever. But the story of the refrigerator goes even deeper. Cold doesn't just affect food, it affects life. During World War II, doctors observed that wounded soldiers exposed to cold temperatures healed slower, bled less, and sometimes slipped into dangerous shock. This led scientists to study how cells react to low temperatures. They found that cold slows chemical reactions inside the body. It preserves, but also pauses. This discovery laid the groundwork for cryopreservation, freezing blood, organs, embryos, and eventually, entire bodies for medical research. The refrigerator, ironically, became humanity's first small-scale laboratory for understanding how cold affects biology. A kitchen appliance helped inspire modern organ storage, IVF procedures, and even the early theories of suspended animation. Cold changed the world, from food safety to medicine, from global trade to environmental policy. And yet, the refrigerator's past is filled with chapters few people know. Explosions, toxic gases, corporate secrecy, scientific breakthroughs, environmental crisis, engineering evolution, and eventually, stability. Today, we open a refrigerator door without thinking, without remembering the danger it once carried, without imagining the global battles fought because of the chemicals humming quietly inside. But that hum, that quiet, constant vibration, is the sound of physics, chemistry, engineering, and history all working together, carefully, delicately, relentlessly. The refrigerator didn't just keep food cold. It reshaped civilization. It saved lives. It threatened the planet. It changed science. It rewrote industries. And it continues to evolve. So the next time you open your refrigerator door, pause. Listen. That soft hum isn't just machinery. It's the echo of every invention, every failure, every risk, every discovery, and every lesson hidden inside the cold. A story spanning centuries. A story almost forgotten. A story you were never supposed to know until now.